Welcome to Reread. Today I'm going to go through the entire Tales of the New Republic, maybe do this in a two-part series. My timeline that someone put together for me and that we posted online is obviously not my timeline. I've been noticing that the past couple of weeks here that someone probably copied someone else's timeline and just called it mine, because I know for a fact I did these individually and I put them in different orders. I did not just throw the whole Tales of the New Republic into one review. I know I did not, but they happen at different times. So I'm going to fix it on the timeline, and from here on out up to a certain point, I'm very positive this is why there's been a lot of corrections on my timeline. You know, some have been true corrections that I just didn't read about, like the ones I'm going to address here today. But everything that I should be mentioning now, the timeline will be fixed by the time this thing airs. So the first short story is the two-part or four-part series by Michael Stackpole and Timothy Zahn. This is Interlude at Darkknell. If anyone doesn't know, these were short stories that were written for the Star Wars Adventure Journal when that got canceled. I don't know how, but Bantam somehow got the rights, or petitioned West End Games for the rights of these short stories to make a little collection of short stories, which was excellent. They did another one, a bunch of reprints from the Star Wars Adventure Journal called Tales of the Empire, if you want to get that. These are both pretty cheap and easy to find, I believe. But this is about General Bel Abyss. His wife and I believe family are assassinated, and they just blow up the whole building that he was supposed to be in. Well, now he goes undercover on a mission now that everyone thinks he's dead, because it's the perfect time to complete some kind of mission he has. Meanwhile, Hal Horn and Ysanne Isard are commissioned by Armand Isard to go out and find who the killer is. And so that's kind of how Timothy Zahn takes part one, Michael Stackpole part two, and so on and so forth. They kind of bounce back between the parts here. Now, in the end, it turns out that this was all a power play by Armand Isard to basically rule the Empire. And Ysanne figures that out and calls him out on it at the very end, has him arrested, and this is explaining basically her rise to power. Now, this is a fine story. It takes place a few years after the Empire is established. The Empire is fairly new, is what we're told here. So I would back this story up a little bit earlier on during the days of the Empire, the first couple of years of the Empire, because the whole purpose was to drive Bel Abyss to the rebellion, like fully. He was kind of supporting it the whole way secretly, but now he's full-blown into the rebellion with Mon Mothma. If you're reading this in chronological order, though, I don't think you'll enjoy Bel Abyss as much as you would reading about him in Timothy Zahn's trilogy first. Now, this is a nice story that unravels a little bit more of his character and how he moved over to the other side, but to be fair, it does follow Hal Horn and Ysanne Isard more, in my opinion, than it follows Bel Abyss. And his story isn't as interesting, I should say. Anyway, the next short story I'm going to talk about is Jade Solitaire. This is written by Timothy Zahn. This one is basically Talon Karrde is away. Mara Jade is in charge of the crew. And I hate how they just call it the crew. It's the crew with Mara Jade. We know who his crew is. Why don't you talk about a little bit more about the crew? This would have been the perfect time to highlight the other crew members, but Timothy Zahn just wanted to tell a Mara Jade story. And again, to be fair, that's probably what most fans only cared about was Mara Jade. They didn't care about any of the other, like Ghent the Slicer. I would have loved if he would have been a side character in this. But for some reason, someone captures his crew and forces Mara Jade to go on a mission to rescue his daughter and grab her ship and escape in their ship. Well, when she breaks into this, kind of disguises herself and goes into slavery in these slime pits, she finds out that the daughter is saying, hey, look, my dad just wants his nice, space yacht back. That's really what he wants. He didn't care about me. The mission was supposed to be about me, but it's really about getting his yacht back. Mara Jade does help them escape, but Talon Karrde has already, cornered the guy who forced his crew. He's freed his crew. And Mara Jade, as her reward for doing some dirty work, she gets the Jade Solitaire. It eventually becomes the Jade Solitaire. Now, at first, she thinks that this is going to be Talon Karrde's ship. He went, no, you earned it. It's yours. And you can fly off. I don't know why you're here still with me, because they know about her being the Emperor's hand at this point. This takes place, to the best of my knowledge, at least a year or so after the Timothy Zahn trilogy, because she already knows about Luke Skywalker and everything. She's, she doesn't want to kill him anymore, but she doesn't really like him that much or whatever. And so that adventure has already happened, and this is how she got her own little ship, and she can fly off and join Talon whenever she wants. He basically kind of gives her a freedom. It's a fine story. It's great, and if you're a big Mara Jade fan, you're going to like this. I mean, she goes through I can't remember what the temporary name was for, I think she called it the Jade something, and then she says, no, the Jade Solitaire is what she decides to call it. So her first ship and whatnot. It's, like I said, again, it's a fine story. You know, she's doing her undercover agent stuff and doing this awesome breakout and everything. Unfoils a plot in the end. But I just wish whenever they refer to Talon Card's crew, it's just his crew. We don't get to hear who they are, and I wanted to hear a few more side characters in that. The next one is Gathering Shadows, and this one, two people wake up in a room, it's pitch black, and they don't know who they are or what's going on. They have some kind of memory drug in them that they're trying to work out. Slowly, they realize their names are Jay and Dirk. Well, he figures his name is Harkness. His last name is Harkness, and his first name is Dirk. He's a mercenary. She works for the New Republic, but she says, I liked it better when they were called the Rebellion. She has problems with the New Republic and not with the Rebellion. Again, this must have taken place a couple of years. It seems like just a couple of months after Return of the Jedi, because it seems like the New Republic is fairly new at this point and has only been around for a while, or less than a month, or less than a year, I should say. That's how I feel here, because it feels like they mentioned the Battle of Endor, and they mentioned that it wasn't that long ago, like maybe a couple of months, which is why I say that. Now, meanwhile, there are two other rebels, Talib and Plot. I don't know if that's Platt. I don't know if that's Platt O'Keefe. I doubt it is. But they're going to rescue them in the Valley of Umbra and whatnot. And it falls into the hands of the New Republic. Now, at the end, as they're both regained their memory and they're escaping, Jay knows that she's not. Dirk knows that Jay is not happy with the New Republic, so he kind of makes her an offer to become a mercenary with her, and she's thinking about it. And of course, this is your standard Star Wars Adventure Journal short story that leads you on to the new adventures of Dirk and Jay. Now you follow. Here's some adventure ideas. They didn't do that in the story, but I could see where this was leading to, and that's not a bad thing. That was the whole. One of the big purposes of the Star Wars Adventure Journal. All right, so for right now, I'm going to leave it at those three, and I'll come back with some more next time.